Meeting will come to order. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for participating. To begin with, I have to, like last time, read the necessary statement, so bear with me. As a preliminary matter, this is Robert Bouchard, Chairman of the Lakeville Conservation Commission. Permit me to confirm that all members, persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Joe.
Present.
Nancy.
Present.
Mark.
Present.
John.
Here.
Josh. So far is absent. Okay. Anticipated speakers on the agenda, please respond in the affirmative. Niles.
Present.
Glenn.
Present.
Mrs. Barefoot. Christine.
Here.
Okay, how do you do? And Mr. Garcia, who was in the car?
Present.
Oh, okay, good, thank you. This open meeting of the Lakeville Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, I should say, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement for open meetings to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted in agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as responsible public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature such a public comment. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some other ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. First, I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comments, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember that to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields and the floor to you and your name is called. If members wish to engage in discussion with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. All right then, finally, let's begin. The first agenda item is 85 Holland Road. This is an NOI, and I believe the name is Grinham. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Miles, okay. Please proceed.
Okay, I'm just gonna pop up the plan here. All right, for the record now, Zaga from Zenith Consulting Engineers. Thanks for having me. So what you see before you is a single family dwelling located at 85 Holland Road. And basically what we've done here is what we're designating is that there's no actual resource area as far as wetlands are on the property. There's a 100-foot buffer zone to the rear of the property here that we're not actually doing any work within. The only work that is proposed within a resource area is there is actually a brook. It's actually a drainage ditch. It's a culvert that runs across Holland Road, and it's a perennial stream brook that runs across and opens up into that wetland area in the rear. So we're actually within the 200-foot riparian zone of that perennial brook. So what we're doing is with the Rivers Act, you are allowed either 5,000 square feet of disturbance or 10% of the riverfront area, whichever is greater. In this case, it's the 5,000 square feet. So what we've done is we've tried to limit that work to under 5,000 square feet. Unfortunately, we would have been able to slide the septic and the house further to the east. Unfortunately, there is a existing dwelling here, and their well is pretty much right on the property line. So that 100-foot requirement that we're required to have by Title V basically forces the septic system in the position that it is. You can see that we're about 102 feet from that existing well over on 87 Holland Road. And then in such, we're also, our well, even though this is not within any resource area, has to be shifted way in the back here in order to meet the requirement for their existing septic system to our well. Other than that, so there's only a small portion of work within that riparian zone. It's the septic with less than half of the home and clearing with some landscaping. Other than that, I think it's pretty straightforward. It's been submitted to the Board of Health, and I believe we've been granted approval. Other than that, pretty straightforward. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So let's go down the line. Joe, why don't you go first?
I only had one question. Seeing that the lot's under 70,000, I assume it's been grandfathered from an earlier time?
That is correct. It was created prior to the zoning.
Okay, that's what I thought.
We had that. Our applicant had a zoning determination made by the building inspector, and it was deemed that it was able to be built on.
Yeah, I figured if you got this far, you'd be all set. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Only question I had.
Okay, thank you. Mark?
Niles, on the left-hand side of the property to the left of the proposed septic, or west of that, I think it was based on locus. It looks like there's a driveway that goes on to the neighboring property with a Conex container and some other, maybe an outbuilding. Is that like a shared use driveway? And
No, it is not shared use. What's going to end up happening is we're going to have to provide, and actually it's in their deed, we just have to provide it on a plan, a separate plan, that there's going to have to be an access easement provided. I think just like back in the day, the home that is on 83 Holland actually owned the property, this property here, and then they sold it. So I think they kind of treated it like it was one property at one time, even though there was the property line there. So there will have to be an access easement granted.
But there'll be no disturbance. It'll be just a paperwork exchange.
That is absolutely correct.
And so that silt fence barrier line that you have is the extent of the disturbance to the west.
That is correct.
And so we're looking at a house that's probably within 70 feet of the brook that exists already.
170 feet roughly, yes.
Not
100,
the new
it might
house.
even be 180.
Not the new house. I'm talking about 83.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. Yeah, that's correct.
So
yeah, this house 83 right here is approximately probably 70 to 80 feet, 70 feet or so.
Okay. No, I think it looks good. I think it's good protections. I'm fine.
Mr. Chairman, I had one more question to interrupt.
No, that's quite all right. Go ahead.
The property behind, I believe, is Mass Audubon.
I believe so.
Did we ever hear anything from them?
Not that I'm aware of.
Anything?
We notified them, but we have not heard anything.
Okay, just wondering if they had any concerns. That's it.
Nancy?
The silt fence barrier, usually on the plan, Niles, you show how it's gonna be. What is that gonna be?
It's a silt sock. I don't have a detail on there. I do. There's a detail up in the top left corner
Oh,
here.
yeah, okay, there it is.
I'm sorry. I know it's kind of
No,
hidden.
it's all right.
Yeah, it's our standard silt sock detail.
Okay.
And what would be the extent?
Of that erosion control. So this bluish, light blue line here is the 200-foot. See this squiggly line with like a line next to it? This is the erosion control / limit of work here. So that's where we're proposing to install it. Is there?
Is that one of the same with the proposed tree line or the existing tree line?
No, that's the proposed tree line. That's where we would be clearing to.
Yeah, and that includes up and around the well site.
That is correct. Yeah, there's going to have to be again, that's outside the resource area, but that is correct. That will have to be, there's going to have to be a well road that's going to have to be made here to get the well rig back there.
Okay. Is Josh joined us yet?
No, he is not.
I guess not. And am I forgetting anybody?
Yeah.
Is that it? Okay, good. So, any last minute questions? I was in.
Just one more.
Go ahead, Nancy.
The well road, Niles, that you're going in, you're gonna stay to the right-hand side of the property, correct?
That is correct.
All right. I
Yeah.
think we need to say sometimes when they come, just to make sure they're not gonna go on the left-hand side.
Yeah, I think the way the grades work over there too, I was actually walked it. I walked it with, well, I showed, Bob and I met out on site today, but then I walked it a little bit further in with my client, and we were looking at it, and it actually makes a lot more sense to go on the right-hand side anyway, or on the easterly side, just
Okay,
because of the vegetation that's there.
okay,
And we as always, we always survey crew will stake out where that well is going to go, so there won't be any concern about that either.
I think one of the things we need to do after reviewing some previous filings is ask for more clarification on tree line existing versus proposed. Sometimes it's a little vague, and where possible, we should try to get both. I know that's not always possible, but we need to do a better job there, I think.
Yeah, so the existing tree line is actually shown on this plan. It's shown, and it's just lighter, but it's this squiggly line here, and it wraps around, and it basically runs the whole, because this is all, basically this whole entire site's wooded.
Yeah,
There's full vegetation, other than the small portion that the driveway is on and or that building. The majority of this site is all wooded. It's a little bit more sparse in this area here, but it's still wooded. So that tree line, our existing versus our proposed, are on here.
Okay, good. All right, then. Do I hear a motion to, well, do I hear a motion, first of all?
I make a motion that we close the hearing and issue our standard order of conditions.
Okay.
Second.
All right, so we're gonna vote. Joe, yay or nay?
Yay.
Okay. And Mark,
Yay.
John,
Yay.
Nancy?
Yay.
That's good, it passes.
Thank you.
So you're all set. All right, then. Next on the agenda is 13 South Ave. This is an RDA, and the name is, am I saying it correctly, Diato?
That's correct.
Okay.
Are you ready for me, Mr. Chairman?
Yep, go right ahead.
I'm sorry. All right. Again, for the record now, Zager from Zenith Consulting Engineers. So this is on in Clark Shores, right on Long Pond on South Avenue. Our client has a failed septic system that's completely in the water table. They currently own this property here, which is 13 South Ave. And then they also own this property here, which is a workshop. It's basically a garage / workshop that they own. The existing well is located in that building. And this is Long Pond here. Long Pond is over here. This is South Ave here. Realistically, the only thing we can do for a septic system here is a tight tank. There's really not much room otherwise to fit much. Everybody, for the most part, anybody that lives in this area has tight tanks. The property located here on 15 South Ave has a tight tank, and as well as on 11 South Ave has a tight tank as well, that have all been permitted. So we're basically proposing to decommission the existing septic system that's located right in the front. Here's a pit here and a tank here. And what we're basically looking to do is to decommission that, abandon it, and put in this new tank. This tank is a monolithic H20 tank, so meaning it doesn't have any seams in it, so it's a lot less likely to leak. As well as what we've also done as well is H20 tank is for buoyancy, because obviously water table is a major issue over here. We have to try to keep that tank weighted. The only way we can really do that is what we're proposing is a concrete slab ballast on top of the tank that we pour in order to weigh that tank down. So essentially what happens is once the, whatever, if it's every 2 weeks or a month, depending on the use that they have to have it pumped, when that tank is pumped, we have to make sure that the tank won't float and become an issue. So that's another precaution that we use. Other than that, we couldn't get it any further away from Long Pond for the most part because we have this well here, so there's not really any room. And there's also a BVW, which is tributary to Long Pond, which is also a surface water supply. So we think that this is really the best suited place for this tight tank. We did notify Taunton Water Supply and New Bedford Water Supply in this submittal, and have not heard anything back from them at this point. We had to notify them for the Board of Health. There's variances that are required because of the tight tank, so we had to notify them and have not heard anything at this point. Other than that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that anybody has.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's listen to comments. Joseph?
No questions. Obviously, this would be an improvement for the lot.
Okay. Mark?
No, I was impressed with the calculations and actually how heavy of a tank could float in your breakout there on the buoyancy calculations. I think the silt fence is sufficient coming up either side from the house because the house acts as a buffer itself from siltation. So I'm good.
All right, John?
I have nothing.
Okay. And Nancy?
I was really happy about the tank being weighted down too, because we've had a lot of problems, not on South, but on other areas where they've actually popped out of the ground. And also really happy that you notified Taunton and Bedford, because that would have been my thing to say. A lot of calculations of grants and things we have to get. It really behooves them to know who's upgrading their septic system around the pond. So that's all good.
Okay. Just a couple questions. Niles, the old tank, the existing one,
Yes.
how old, just out of curiosity, is it?
The house was built in the 50s, and it's that old.
Okay. And the existing well, are there any proposed changes to it?
No, there are not any proposed changes at all.
All right. Do you know how high the casing is above ground?
No, I honestly, it is not above the ground at all. It's actually it's a cover inside the building. Yeah, it's got a cover to grade right here inside the building. So this is a slab on grade,
Okay.
and just like the existing home, and they did just like they always used to do that. I say always, but this was a typical practice where they would drill the well inside the building like this.
Mm-hmm.
And build around it.
This area is very, as you know, is subject to severe flooding. And I've noticed in the past, a lot of wells with just short stick-ups are being influenced by surface water, which is not a good thing. So if they were gonna, yeah, there are no changes then to the existing garage.
That is correct. There is no, the only changes that we're proposing is this installation. It's all the work that's being proposed is just in the front here.
Okay,
The water service that runs from this well runs down across South Avenue and into right into our building here.
mhm.
So it runs just like this. Yeah, again, as you stated, this entire property is located within a flood zone. So there's no question that flooding is a concern here.
Yeah, in the last couple of weeks, I've gotten lots of calls in this area with flooded out crawl spaces and tanks that have been flooded. Lots of problems. And this hasn't been the worst year for rain or for flooding, as you will recall. But all right, just thought I'd mention it. All right, so are we ready to vote?
Yeah, motion to issue a negative determination on the RDA.
Okay,
13
Negative.
South Ave.
Oh, before I second it, discussion? Well, no, I'm not seconding. I take it back.
go ahead, discussion.
A negative what? I don't have my cheat sheet. Is it a
Negative
negative 3?
This is
Yeah,
gonna
negative
be
3.
Yes.
All right, I second the motion for a negative 3 determination.
Okay, and no further discussion? All right, so we'll go through the vote. Yea or nay? Joseph,
Yay.
Mark,
Yay.
John,
Yay.
Nancy,
Yay.
motion passes.
Thank
Okay,
you, everyone.
thank you, Niles.
Have a good night.
Thanks, you too.
Thanks, Niles.
Take care.
All right, next on the agenda, 7 Joshua Lane. This is an RDA filed by Glenn Otala. Am I correct?
Close enough.
All right. This is your big chance to correct me, but would you go ahead and make your presentation?
Okay, you want to put it on?
All right, I've never shared my screen, so
That's quite all right.
give me a second and make sure I can do it here. Can you see that?
Oh, yes, looks good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so this is the panorama of the complete area that's to be done. It's in the grass that isn't as pretty as the other grass. So we just want to bring in some loom and level it out. There's a lot of uneven areas with holes and stuff that's unsafe for the kids. And so we're just trying to basically make it so it's safe. And also so some nice grass grows there. This is it prior to the fence. The builder originally had gone to the tree line on that side, just so we can show that, you know, we're not in the buffer area here. This is also just another view of the area before. This is a view after the fence placement. And just some more closer up shots for you. And so we just basically just want to
Make it nice.
make it nice and put some irrigation in. And the only area that would be in the buffer zone is we just want to do a chain link fence. We're going to have a pool. And so we're just trying to connect the vinyl in the back and just go into the woods just maybe about 10, 15 feet to connect the existing vinyl
From the other side.
from the other side
To the other side.
to the other side. And this is a picture of it from the back. I guess this was previously farmland, and so this is what the grass looks like here. And there was some previous bittersweet, the Oriental bittersweet that was there. That also we're trying to cover up so it doesn't grow back because it's really invasive and it's actually strangling a lot of the plants in the towards the wetlands. But it was also in this area right by that rock
Behind the playground.
behind the playground that actually had taken out a complete oak tree. So we're also trying to make it so that stuff can't grow back.
Do you have a plan that shows the outline of the property? By any chance?
I have it, I can hold it up.
All right, go ahead, see if we can see it.
Yeah, sure. I didn't even think to get that for you. Hold on.
And I hope you don't think you want to cover up Bittersweet. All that does is let it root some more.
Yeah,
The stuff's
exactly.
got to be dug up, or you have to have someone who's a licensed applicator come in, cut it, and then dab the ends with herbicide, and that herbicide will go down and kill the root system.
Gotcha,
Okay.
Gotcha.
Bittersweet is,
We did hire a guy to come and just take the stump down, and
Yep.
grind it down because it was.
Well, that was the oak tree though. That's the one that it killed.
Oh,
It
is that
killed
what that
it
was?
killed the oak tree. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We tried to save it, but the bittersweet got it. It's actually taking over a lot of the wooded area too.
All right, we got it now. She's looking at it.
Is that?
It's
I
hot.
don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see that.
well, that's pretty good.
Okay.
So your lot is the one right in the middle.
Yeah, 67.
Okay. And about how far does your property line go in the rear?
How far?
From where?
From where?
Well, from either from the street or from the house, either one. Just as a reference point.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's got a lot of measurements here going in different directions. It doesn't give a straight shot.
roughly from this.
Oh, this says 200 and. I'm sorry, we're not as good as
Okay.
Mr. Zager.
I mean, if I had to take a guess, I'd say
Well, you
100
can't,
100 and-
no, you can't guess.
Well, I know you can
It
guess,
says
but
294 feet on this thing,
that's from the top of the street.
from the street down, and then on the other side. But then it shows like an area cutting out, and then it says 50 feet. So it says 63 feet, and then it shows 294, and then 50 feet again.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted the members to get a rough idea of the layout. For your information, I measured, as you folks know, I measured from the rear of the property where there's a small stream, which I believe is the start of the wetland area, to your property, and it's about 106 feet. So the majority of the work you've done to date is outside buffer zone.
Correct.
Right. We're getting,
Robert, but you did that from the side where the stream is quite a bit farther away. So I know their lot very well because we almost actually purchased it, but because we were told where we could not, build in the buffer zone, we didn't move forward with that lot. So basically, the fence on the side that they just put up, there's 2 corners to the lot, the first angle and the second angle, and well above that second angle is where the buffer zone starts. And so if I'm to stand at a certain point in my yard and look straight across, it actually just cuts right behind their swing set and well up onto the other side of the property. The photos that they just showed you with all that cleared land, just 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, it was all refilled buffer that they had initially cleared out 3 years ago or 2.5 years ago. And once they did that, because the water table is so high, we started to have a water issue towards the back of our property. So they removed a lot of vegetation, multiple trees. The builder had filled up to the original tree line. They cleared all of that out and made a second tree line behind. So right now, what they showed you, that panoramic view, we have other photos where just recently they just cleared out that buffer zone and cut down and stumped some new trees. This was all in the last month. And it's quite a bit of a drop off actually at that end. So whatever view they gave you, it looks like it's a pretty, straight piece of land that they just want to fill in bumps, but it's quite of a big drop off, at least, I don't know, I'm going to say 3 feet, 2 to 3 feet.
So could I say something, please?
just one question first. Do you have any pictures?
I can actually pull them up now. I don't know how to get them to you because I don't have Zoom,
Okay.
but I have multiple photos.
All right. Go ahead with what you wanted to say.
Oh, so I showed you the pictures from previously when we first moved in. That was the first shot that I showed you from 2017.
Yep.
And that's the shot I showed you guys. So what we had taken down, actually, let me go ahead and share my screen again. Let me pull it up first. And I could show you what we did clear was the thorns and the bittersweet. So hold on. And you can see that once I share it, hold on.
Is that your backup engineer sneaking into the screen here?
It is, yes.
Yeah, Luke.
Can you guys see this?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so this was, if you could see, the original tree line is still where I
Way
had
back.
it originally.
Yep.
The only things that are in the background is the oriental, the bittersweet, and the pictures that I, hold on. Let's see. This is another shot of it. This is what she's saying that we cleared. That was a more bittersweet, which is just one little area. And there was just some thorns out there.
No, it was filled with.
You guys can see you could see the pictures from 2017. And anything before that, you guys got calls and you've been out here. So you guys have been following us for a long time now. So
How long have you been living there?
since August of 2016.
2016, okay.
Yep.
All right, other members of the commission, do we have any questions, comments?
And I don't know if Mike wants to say anything.
We'll give him a chance in a second.
Okay.
Bob, I guess I'm just confused about how far into the buffer zone they're working. There's no,
Right, so that bittersweet tree actually had a flag in front of it.
No.
It was a wetland flag. Right at that point of the property is where it starts to cut up well onto the other side. If you were to drive by it through the cul-de-sac, you can clearly see, and they've actually cleared some trees in front of the stream, but you can actually see, you know, the stream to the back.
Could,
All right,
could
Nancy.
I
And I'm
ask,
pretty sure it's a perennial stream. It actually flows across Highland. It goes into the cranberry bogs, but then that replenishes over into Hathaway Brook. And it also goes over to the pond, which I believe is Mullen Hill Pond.
So you guys have been out and you've measured to that area. It doesn't even come close to being in the buffer zone
And
where
it's
the oriental bittersweet was taking over.
not even,
Not even close. It's like 150 feet.
All right, let's hold on now. I want to finish getting comments from the commissioners before we hear.
Mr. Chair, could I ask a question through you to the applicant for
Go right ahead.
clarification?
Go ahead.
You had a plan, the site plan of your property, and it appeared on the back corner of your lot that there was, is that the stream or is that a marking of wetland flags?
as the stream, right?
Hold on.
It's a man-made thing that I think they might have used for drainage of bogs years ago. That's what we think it is, because if you go way back, you can see a metal pipe, and it looks like this bog is across the street. I'm just guessing that they used that for drainage at some point.
So here it is. And yes, so
that kind of kooky crooked line that runs across the back corner of your property,
yep.
does that have like numbers and little WFs?
Can you see it? The WFs?
Is that what that is?
WF indicates wetland flag and it'd be numbered.
You see numbers?
I see little triangles with numbers on them. 5 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, the flagging and the mapped area are a little hard to interpret because of the angle that the property lines take. And it looks like in the lower left-hand corner that the wetland line is at an angle, so a small, like a triangle, might be on their property that would be part of the buffer zone. But the area I was talking about is on the other side, the fence line that separates 5 and 7 Joshua. That's the one that was I measured, and that's the one that was 107 to the buffer zone. So it looks like perhaps a small portion of your property is included in that wetland.
Right, that's what it looks like to me. I guess the issue that I have, I tried to look it up on Google Earth, but I don't have the property lines to correlate with the wetland lines and the tree line, just to give a sense of the parameters of their work and the relation to the wetlands. It looks like their map shows wetland flags, and
Mhm.
it looks like it's way back in the right-hand corner of the property, if you're in the street looking into the property.
Correct.
Well, I can actually tell you because, like I said, we did look at that lot, and we were happy that there was the perennial stream back there. But if you were to count out the actual square footage to the back of their lot is 230 square feet. When you move up a bit, their line bumps out. It's about 160 square feet across from one side to the other where their buffer zone ends. And then I would take away, this is being generous, 40 feet off of one side, because towards our side, they do gain a little bit that is not in the buffer zone. So that would leave with what, 107, I don't know, it's well over 100 feet. And then if you count the fence they just put up and where the bump goes, it's about 6.5 panels back, so that's 36 feet. And so when we did the math, it was around about 4,700 square feet, give or take a little bit. So that's quite a substantial chunk of buffer zone. And
you're
not to
allowed
mention this last,
Look, this is supposed to be for the commissioners now, but you're allowed to work in the buffer zone. So we're granting them permission to do something in there as long as the protections are right. Is that not correct?
well, they
Mr. Chair?
cleared all of it, what the issue is.
All right, let me go back to Nancy. I don't know if she actually was finished or we cut her off.
Well, I kind of have the same question as Mark. Is like nothing really shows how close to the wetland line they were, how much into the buffer zone they are. I mean, if they're out of the 50 foot, that's a good thing. If they're closer than the 50 foot, I mean, they're going to put a shed in. How close to the wetland line is where is there going to be a shed?
The shed will be located
It,
really a lot like halfway through that area that we want to make grass. So like, you know, the areas that we want to make grass is say it's like 70 feet. We're thinking putting the shed right around the middle, but this is a year from now or more, you know.
So roughly parallel with your existing play area, the swing set.
Yeah.
right. It would be parallel, like parallel with our budding neighbor's pool. So he got a building permit for his pool. That's where we would put the shed. And we'd also take every precaution. We actually are, we want to get rid of that bitter street to stop hurting the trees. We want to take care of the area, make everything really nice. That's our goal, is to make sure.
What other activities? Do you have more stumps to remove?
Nope.
No.
The fence is complete.
Other than the chain link.
Other
that
than
we're
the chain
requesting.
link in the back, which will fall in the buffer zone.
That's what would be in the buffer zone, but I know according to the Massachusetts law, that would be okay as long as.
Yeah, fences are actually exempt, and you've spoken to Nate Darling, the building inspector, on the fences, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
All right, and he okayed the location.
Yes.
All right, am I forgetting anything else? Any other activity, any other work that you was proposing?
Nope.
No.
No. And did we get all the commissioners? Did everyone have a chance? John, we didn't hear from you.
Yeah, I had a question for you, Bob, actually, because you've been out there, right?
Yes,
So you measured from the stream, you said,
right.
to the area that they want to do work in?
Yeah, well, to pretty much where the fence ends. And that's approximately the tree line right now.
Is that
Actually,
where they're,
Give or
is that
take.
where they intend to put their fence?
Say that again, please.
Is that where they intend to put their fence?
No, that's where there's an existing fence that separates the property on 5 and 7 Joshua.
Right, but they're gonna put theirs off of that, cutting the back of their
Oh,
property.
Yes, that's correct.
So
They're
where is
adding
that
6
fence gonna
feet.
go?
They're adding 6 feet on either side to the vinyl fence and then putting a chain link between the two.
Okay, all right, so they're
That's
gonna
according
extend
to the
that vinyl
application.
fence 6 feet.
Yeah.
So,
So
and that would be in the buffer.
that's correct. Yes, part of it will be in the buffer.
All right.
But you still didn't answer my question about how much in the buffer. That's all. I just want to
Oh.
know. It just
Well,
doesn't-
that's what I was
I-
trying to get around to. I think that Bob could probably estimate that.
It would probably be 80 feet away from the,
Wetland.
it depends on the area because it takes certain cuts. So, but I don't think anything would be closer than 70 feet.
Well,
Is- Do you
Bob,
agree with
if
that,
you-
Bob? Oh,
I mean,
sorry.
it would be 70 feet, 70 feet away.
Bob, if you if you measured off of that stream,
Mhm.
you're saying that where they've cleared to is 106 feet away?
Yes,
All right, so so they want to bring the fence further back behind that. How much farther back behind that?
20 feet, maybe?
No, not even.
Not even?
No, it's like
not even,
So
no.
you're thinking,
Like-
so there'll be,
10 feet.
so if you're 106 feet off of that, but that's not the wetland line, right? That's the stream.
Right, that's the average line from the stream
From
to
the stream.
to the end of the fence.
Okay, do we know where the buffer, where the wetland line is?
I'm just approximating it because I was following the stream, which doesn't
Right.
flow in a straight
No,
channel.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just
But,
trying to get an estimate here.
Yeah, that's all I was doing. And that's how I came up with the 100.
So, Mr. Chair, would you say that the stream you were measuring from would be the wetland line?
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
That answers your question, John?
Yeah,
it's not a natural channel. It's obviously been man-made. There's a barn out and back on an adjacent property. And you can see where there's been fill that's been brought in when they built the barn, and it looks like they might have changed the direction of flow a little bit. But
so
that
we're
goes
looking
way
at
back.
approximately 80 feet from that line.
Yes.
Okay,
And again, it sounds like even if there were 50 feet, it's a fence and fences are exempt.
no, that's not the fence. That's where they want to,
No, that's the fence.
That's
that's
the
the
fence.
fence.
Yeah.
Oh, so then everything would be within that, would be farther away than that.
Yes, yes,
So we're looking at the worst case scenario, the fence is going up 80 feet off the wetland line.
right.
So everything
Does that
that
answer
you
your
do is
question, Nancy?
outside the 50 foot, right? That's good.
Correct.
That's
I'm
correct.
good. That's all I'm trying to get out of this.
Yes, everything's definitely outside 50 feet,
Yeah.
everything
Oh, yeah,
altogether.
oh, yeah.
And when you install the fence, are you hand digging or driving the posts?
I'm gonna hand dig because it's such a tight area, I can't get the pole digger in there.
And it's better to not disturb anything out there anyways, make sure everything's good.
All right. And what about fill? Are you bringing in more fill?
Well, we're gonna, like you guys had said about the Oriental bittersweet, we were talking, so we haven't finalized anything. We're talking to a landscaper, and they had mentioned to get the roots out first.
Yep.
So if that's okay with you guys, we would like to get that out and have a bit of a layer removed to get that out. And then depending on what they remove, would be all we would replace.
3 inches or so of loam for grass.
Just enough to make the grass grow.
I would be in favor of a recommendation that we allow you to remove any invasive plants. Let you try and maintain the existing tree line
Oh, we work,
without bringing in any additional fill materials.
Other than loam?
rather than loam, right.
Right. If you need to loam and seed, that's one thing, but
That's
no additional fill materials.
Not at all.
not at all.
Not at all.
What else? Did everyone else have a chance to comment?
Just our neighbor, Mike.
Yeah, I see
What
Mike
about
sitting
Mike?
quietly in his car.
We haven't heard from you.
He's muted though, I think.
Can we,
I think he's unmuted now.
Hello,
Mike, are you with us?
I'm with you.
Good. We haven't heard any comments from you. Would you like to chime in?
Well, I've heard the whole conversation. I'm as long as they're looming and seeding, I'm good with that. Because all they're doing is pretty much top dressing that existing land.
Mhm.
They're maintaining a lawn. They want to maintain a lawn, and I'm good with that.
Yeah, it's pretty much consistent with all the other houses in your neighborhood, I think.
Exactly.
All right. And the Barefoots, are we all
Yep.
set? Or did you have
One more thing for the record, Robert, because we already explained the situation.
Sure.
Because, they have filled in the swale that Nate Darling and the builder had to put in there because their grade in the water table was so high. They caused water to come over to this property now for the last 3 years. And Nate did tell them to get an engineer, which they did not. So I just want to be 100% sure that we're talking about 3 inches of loam and nothing more than that. Because I do not need more of a water problem. Even after they removed their vegetation, our land got swampy because it stopped absorbing with that high water table. I don't want an issue towards the back of my property.
Okay,
So Can
we'll
I?
make a requirement that once you've completed any lumen seeding, that you notify the office, and we will come out and inspect it to make sure you haven't exceeded that amount of fill. Okay, that fair enough?
Yep.
Fair.
So just a comment. We did talk to Nate before we filled in the swale, and they told us it was never town approved, and he never knew about it. So
Yeah.
All right, the link between you two, because that's out of our jurisdiction. That's
Yeah.
out of the buffer
Yeah.
zone. So-
Yeah, we'll take care of that at court. Thank you.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, so do I hear a motion, or do we need any more discussion?
I had a suggestion. I would feel much more comfortable considering, neighborhood concerns. I would feel much more comfortable getting from Heidi and Glenn at least a proposed plan. Doesn't have to be engineered. Take that plot plan and show on that where the fence is going to go, where the shed is going to go, where the areas are that are going to be first
Okay.
have the invasives removed and then, loaned and seeded and so forth. Then we have a document that shows. A narrative is one thing, showing panoramic pictures is fine, but have a plan of record. You always want to have the plan of record. That way it protects all parties involved.
Do you want it surveyed or hand measured?
I think hand measured is all you need, with a scale on the plan so we can put our rule on it and see that it's being done correctly.
Okay,
And
so fence
could I-
line, property line, a limit of work, the shed.
What's going where? Exactly.
Okay. You folks follow?
Yeah.
All right, and if you have any questions, you can always call the office and we can help you out there. Any other comments?
I'll make a motion. Everybody's ready.
Go for it.
To approve a -3 determination with conditions. Number 1, no additional fill, just loam and seed. And number 2, a hand-measured plan showing the limit of work and where everything's gonna go.
And throw in there also approval to dig up and remove the root system on the bittersweet.
Oh, yeah, remove any invasive material. Okay,
I'll
And,
second that.
the irrigation too, if that's okay.
all right, so we have a motion and a second. I don't know if, since this is an RDA, if we have to, well, let's do it officially. Joseph, yay or nay?
Yay.
Mark,
Yay.
John,
Yay.
Nancy?
Yay.
Okay, motion carries. We will write up the order and get it to you by next week sometime.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
All right. And then should we drop the official plans and send them to you?
Yes, send them to me.
Drop them off in the basket like always.
Yep, like you did before. That
Okay.
was.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate
you.
it. Good night.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Okay, some business to take care of. I'll have signatures paper ready for you in a couple of days. So Lori will let you know when they're available to come in for signature like we did before. Did that work out all right with everybody?
Yep.
Okay, good. Along those lines, we've had a request for a certificate of compliance. One was already issued to this property, but it's on 6 Morrison. The name is LaPlante. But all we have on in the file are copies. We don't have an original, and they actually tried to get at the Registry of Deeds, would not accept the copy.
Yeah.
So we need to generate a new signature page. So I'll have that available for members as well. And it doesn't matter if you weren't on the commission. This goes back a while.
I was gonna just ask, how far back does it go?
It goes back a ways. Don't remember exactly. I didn't write it down here, but well, you'll see it on the when you come for the signature.
That's fine.
All right. And this is again happening more and more. We're getting these kinds of requests. 110 Highland. They have the applicant has proposed to make a slight modification to their plan. they actually want to move the house a few feet in one direction. They sent us a revised plan, and in fact, it is only a few feet with some other minor changes. I don't think it requires either an amended or a new notice of intent to accommodate them.
Just
You
let
know-
it be picked up with our certificate of compliance at the end in the final document, maybe?
Exactly. Okay. You all know which lot I'm talking about. It's lot number 3 on the end, the
Yeah.
opposite end from the corner of County. And finally, Churchill, is it Shores?
Mhm.
Yours, yep.
Shores, okay. We received an anonymous complaint that someone was filling wetlands adjacent to their community center. But it was anonymous, so I didn't, and they left no phone number, no name, no address, other than this vague reference to the community center. So I took a drive up there anyway, and I know where the community center is, and sure enough, directly behind it, there's a significant wetland there, and there's brush, there's leaves, there's utility poles, there's all kinds of material, not just adjacent to the building, but actually in the wetland itself. So I looked around, I couldn't find anybody who knew anything, but there was a sort of a poster on the door, and it was signed by the treasurer. His name was Will Hayworth, something like that, Hayworth, I think. And it was a handwritten note that said, "Stop dumping in the wetland. This is against the law," and blah, blah, blah. So I added my own note on top of it saying, "Stop, or else we're going to issue a cease and desist, and to please call me." Well, the treasurer actually did call me and gave me some background information, and the members of his organization are going to take care of cleaning it up. And I told him as long as they did, we wouldn't have to get into an enforcement order. If it continues dumping, then we'd have to take additional action.
That's good. So you'll just have to do a drive-by in a couple weeks, maybe?
Right. It's a shame to see all the litter that people just dump directly in the wetland. But he said it's in all the time he's been there, that's never happened before, and they think it's one particular person that's doing it, not the association as a whole. So they've vowed to take care of it. So I'm just gonna monitor it.
Has this trash been recently done there?
It looks like some of the leaves and such are kind of old, but the brush that's been cut is fresh. So
Because one of the problems all the local towns are having, as the recycling centers aren't operating, people
Exactly.
are running out of places to put stuff.
Yeah.
So it ends up on the side of the road or over the guardrail down into the wetland area somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know the trash is starting to build up in my garage between plastics and bottles and everything else. But I guess that's it. So unless anyone has any comments, questions?
You want to do the minutes?
Oh yeah, it's on the list. Yes, please go ahead.
I did review them. Does anybody else have comments? Joe?
Nope, none.
I make a motion that we approve the February 11th minutes for 2020's Conservation Commission meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, do we need a motion to adjourn?
One more item I just thought of, our next meeting.
Oh, yeah.
So far, all we have is a request for an RDA off of Montgomery. I hate to schedule a meeting for just one hearing, and I don't think they're in any particular rush. So I'll have to get back to you, but I'd like to drag it out as much as possible and wait until June for our next meeting. Unless we
That
get,
would be June 9th,
yeah, I think so. I think that's it.
because we do the second Tuesday. And we could always reschedule, and if you got a lot that came in the next few days,
Yeah.
we could.
I asked Niles if there was anything coming down the line, and he wasn't aware of anything. So far, it's just that one RDA.
So would you like me to motion to schedule the next meeting for June 9th?
No, let's just leave it open for now.
Okay.
Well, now, because I also have to check with Jose to see if it's available even at that time slot. So I'll get back to you all on that.
Well,
So-
by then, we might be meeting,
By June 9th, we might be able to meet.
May 28th is, or May 18th, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Is the drop dead date.
it would be nice.
So we'll see.
Okay, good. So now I'll hear your motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Motion adjourned.